I want to say hello, welcome to our listeners and to our YouTube watchers. So we finally decided to upload on YouTube so our listeners can finally put a face to a voice. Hello, I'm Shannon.
And I'm Summer. Welcome to Black Sitcom History.
Yes. So welcome back to our podcast listeners, and welcome to our YouTube viewers. We're going to start by saying, tell us a little bit about your birthday, Summer. Yeah, your birthday weekend.
So my birthday was on Friday, September 11th, and it was a wonderful week. I say a wonderful week because Shannon was over here cooking restaurant quality meals the entire week, and then we did have a restaurant meal on my birthday. Mm-hmm. But if y'all don't know, Shannon can cook. Okay,
I'm the cook.
I cook.
I didn't say you did not cook. I'm the cook. I can cook. Thank you.
He's trying to say I can't cook.
No,
look, I never gave anyone any impression that I was a good cook going into this relationship.
You are a good cook, Summer. You are a good cook.
But no, I will admit that Shannon is a better cook, and he definitely puts a little more effort into the cooking. What were we talking about today? We had some carnitas tacos today, and you were like, "Oh, I chop up the meat a little bit finer than you do," and I was like, "Well, yeah, I don't chop."
Yeah, I get all the flavor out of the meat.
Yeah.
But anyways,
guys, so that was the week. But on Friday we went out and we had Shannon had plans for me to pick up my birthday gifts. They didn't go exactly according to plan because of contactless pickup from the store, but we drove up to our local mall and we waited outside, and a lady shows up with a couple of fine jewelry bags.
A couple, huh?
A couple of fine jewelry bags. Mm-hmm. I had a couple of boxes, a beautiful set, and another set of earrings to match another pendant necklace that I already have.
Yeah. Well, years ago I bought her earring pendant set, and the necklace disappeared and one of the earrings disappeared, but she held on to
the chain broke.
Oh, it broke. Okay.
The chain broke to the necklace, and one of the earrings, like, we were literally out shopping and I came home and had one earring on, but they were not a set. You keep saying they're a set. They're not a set. You purchased them, and well, I don't know if you purchased them at the same time, but you gave them to me at two different times.
Oh, but they matched so perfectly.
You think they matched, but they went well together.
Okay.
But they were not a matching set.
Okay, sorry. All right. Well,
but they were beautiful, and I was very, very sad to have lost the one earring. But yeah, I think that's why you couldn't. One time you tried to replace that earring, but you couldn't because you kept thinking it was a set, and it's not. Well, but anyways,
now you have a new set.
I have a new set.
Two sets, actually.
I have two sets, exactly. I was feeling very fancy. Mm-hmm. I was like a fancy woman with my fine jewelry. So yes, it was very, very lovely, and we had a nice evening out for dinner, which was nice. Yes. It was a lot of smokiness going on in the air, but It was still okay.
It was still nice.
It was still okay.
It was nice.
Only had slight congestion going on the next day, but it was all good.
It was still nice outside. And what else can we touch on before we get started? So Summer and I have had some discussion on changing the format of our podcast. Like the title of our podcast and YouTube channel is Black Sitcom History. And there's so many sitcoms that are black that it'll be hard to, well, it wouldn't be necessarily hard, but we want to touch.
It would take a while to touch on all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
And so now on Netflix, they have quite a few new black sitcoms on there. Girlfriends, one of my favorites. Moesha.
And Girlfriends was out on Friday, my birthday, so they did that especially for me.
I had to call the CEO of Netflix and say, "Hey,
hook it up."
So, and a few other the game,
the Parkers is coming.
Parkers,
Sister, and Moesha are already on there,
and so
yeah.
And we haven't come up with an agreement on one thing. The one thing we have agreed on is on every episode that we do, we will definitely include the Jeffersons. For me and Summer, the Jeffersons is actually the pioneer of black sitcom for us, our age. And like I said before in our first episode, the Jeffersons was pretty much the first black sitcom that continued for years. We had Amos and Andy.
Amos and Andy.
And that was short-lived, and that was all stereotype pretty much. So, and
it doesn't air anymore as far as I know. It was taken off the air. The syndicated reruns was taken off the air. Check out our Instagram page. There is some information on there right now regarding the Amos and Andy show. In our very first episode in our podcast, we touched on a little bit of history behind the Amos and Andy show, which was originally a radio show.
Yes. So our disagreement is if we're definitely going to continue with the Jeffersons every episode. So our disagreement is here. I want to, if we pick up another sitcom, I want to do, say, the top 10 episodes of that sitcom each episode of the podcast, where Summer wants to pick a sitcom randomly. Does it have to be a top 10 or just you want?
I mean, I don't have a top 10 list. We just would be going by somebody else's top 10 list on the internet, probably. So, and that's fine. I just would rather touch on multiple shows.
Yeah. Okay.
So we might go from Moesha to Girlfriends to,
the
Parkers.
So this is the way I want to do it. We do the Jeffersons, and say we start with Moesha, and we Google Moesha's top 10 episodes. We find those top 10 episodes, and we would do them in order from 10 to 1. And then after we're done with that, we would pick up next with maybe the Parkers, because the Parkers is a spinoff of Moesha. So we would do the top 10 Parkers, and we would just go from 10 to 1. Whereas Summer, she just wanted to pick shows randomly, black sitcoms randomly, from What's Happening to Blackish. So you guys let us know what you think. Or if you have your favorite episode from a sitcom, black sitcom, you can let us know, and we can watch that and do it that way. So please let us know what you guys think is best. And we're going to, since it's just Summer and I, and like I said in many episodes, Summer does a lot of the production work. And
now we're adding the video element
now we're adding the video element. And we both still have 9 to 5s. So we're going to take it down a notch, and we're just going to have one episode per week. And we're going to have that on Fridays.
Oh, did we determine that it's Fridays?
We haven't determined that it's Fridays. But we have
1 day a week.
We have determined there's going to be 1 day a week. It's probably going to be a little lengthy because we're still going to do the Jeffersons in 3 episodes, and then we're going to add that one additional episode of a black sitcom. So we have a little thinking to do, but for this week, we're not going to shortchange you. We're going to give you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But just a heads up, from here on out, it'll be Fridays only. And one episode.
Or one day a week.
Or 1 day a week. And you can also catch us on YouTube. So there too. So maybe on one Friday night we can do a live YouTube or something like that. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get right into the episode. The title of this episode is George and the Manager. It aired November 29th, 1975. Tell us a little bit about it, Summer.
So the episode starts off with one of the managers of George's dry cleaners quitting all of a sudden. And he left a note saying he quit.
Man, that'd be so nice,
Like, I quit.
No 2-week notice. You're like,
I quit.
I'm fed up. I quit.
So anyways, one of the employees that works under that manager, the manager is called Lester, and Emily is an employee of the cleaners, and she shows up to the Jeffersons' apartment to let George know that Lester has quit. And George, of course, is concerned, but Emily thinks she could do the job, and she suggested herself immediately to take over the manager slot. And Louise, she's on her side. She's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Emily is a great worker. One of the details that's important, because it becomes something that George tries to make it seem like it's an issue, but there's a bigger issue at hand. So Emily is a white woman, and he thinks that does a good job working for him, and he calls her something like a good little girl for something, just something demeaning. And so he says, I'll think about it. So she leaves. He says he'll think about it. And once she leaves, it starts to become apparent that there's some issue with Emily. He claims that it's because she is white, and he already at one of his stores has his token white manager. So he says, if I don't hire black, who will? So he's out there looking for a black candidate to take over Lester's spot.
Right. And there's something before Louise suggests that Emily is put in the manager position, he says she is his best employee he has. So why not put her in a position as manager? And like Summer said, the issue he had is he feels that since he is the owner, he is a black owner, he should have black managers managing his stores or whatnot. So Emily has a strike against her right there. And then the second strike is he feels that women can't do the job as well as male counterparts can.
Yeah, and that eventually comes out. He stresses the fact that she's not black, but he enlists Lionel volunteers to help him find a candidate. He works with a staffing agency, and he finds a candidate with lots of experience, who is black. I don't know how he knew that the candidate was black, but the candidate's black.
I'm going to tell you how he knew, because this was a minority agency. Yeah, okay. It was a minority hiring agency. Okay. So I guess that means blacks, Hispanics, Puerto Ricans, or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, he gets this great candidate to come by named Dale Parker. And Dale has tons of experience in the dry cleaning business. Don't spoil it yet.
Dale is highly qualified.
Very qualified.
Highly qualified. Maybe more qualified than need be for this position, but Dale is highly qualified. So Dale shows up to the apartment to interview with George and walks in The door opens. Lo and behold, he opens the door and it's a woman.
Dale is a woman.
Come to find out, Dale is a woman.
But she's a black woman.
She's a black woman, but she's a woman.
She's a woman.
So that's where we start to, I mean, it's hinted at, but the real issue here is that Dale is a woman and he doesn't want Dale to run one of his stores.
Yeah.
And he's like, how are my male employees going to feel answering to a woman or
whatnot?
Yeah.
And she knows dry cleaning, like,
better than he does.
Right. He was naming machines that are used for dry cleaning, and she knew the model number. She knew the temperament of the machines, how to work the machines, what to do if it malfunctioned or whatever. So she was highly qualified for the position. And George was like, well, what about your husband? I don't want to take you away from spending time with your family and things of that nature or whatnot. So George is trying to throw her hints like, yeah, I don't think this job is for you because it's a lot of hours that has to be put in for this position or whatever. And she finally gets the hint that he doesn't want a woman to work in his store as a manager. So she says to him, look, I get what you're trying to get at. I understand what you're trying to do. But if you're going to hire blacks, some of those blacks will have to be black women. Mm-hmm. They can't all be black men or whatever. And so she's upset. She storms out and like, hey, you're lost, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, he says all sorts of things that nowadays would get you sued for saying during an interview, really insulting her as a woman, saying that she mentions that she lives in a very small apartment, so she doesn't mind working long hours because she doesn't want to be at home, or she'd rather be working than at home. So, he suggests that she spend time looking for a man, basically.
And she was married, right?
No, she wasn't married. She said that she left her husband because he didn't want her to work.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, so she ended up leaving her husband for that reason. So, being the self-respecting woman that she was, she did walk out and basically, told George about himself on her way out the door.
And as she was leaving, Emily comes up. He calls down to the cleaners to have Emily come up because he has some good news.
Well, he was going to call her.
Oh, okay.
He was going to call her. Well, after Dale left, he and Louise get into it about a woman's fitness for difficult jobs, and they get into it, and finally he kind of gives in and says, okay, well, I'll give Emily a shot. And as he's about to call down to the cleaners, Emily's knocking on the door, and she comes in excited.
Let me say this real quick. Mm-hmm. So George finally gives in to have Emily become acting manager because Louise was like, look, you need to do this. You don't have anyone. You need someone as soon as possible. Just have her become manager. Right. He says, no, I'll have her become acting manager. And basically Louise says, well, if you don't have her become manager, I'm going to cut you off. Meaning like sexually, like, so
he forgot about that.
He was like, okay, like,
I guess I'll give her a shot.
Yeah, I'll give her a shot or whatever. And so she comes in, and this is the part you left off on, Summer, how she came in excited.
She comes in excited, and George is like, wow, how'd you know? I just made up my mind. How'd you know that I had good news for you? But, what she was excited about was that she actually got a job as a manager of another cleaner, a competitor of George's Cleaners. So that's what she was excited about, and she was about to quit.
Yeah, well, she did quit.
Well, she did quit, yeah. And she said she was going to give him like the rest of the week.
Right, but see, she's a lady of her word because she already promised that she would take the other job. And George was like, well, I'll pay you more. And she was like, well, no, I already said yes to this other job. I'm a woman of my word or whatever.
Right.
But I will work the rest of the week for you. And turns out it was Friday. So, well, I don't know what cleaners closed Saturday, Sunday.
His was closed on the weekend.
Hey, baller.
Because I remember that one episode when they were talking about going on vacation. He was bored on a Sunday or something, and the cleaners was closed.
Yeah, that's Sunday, but anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway, but so now George is SOL. He has to find a manager, but they never go into detail how he does that.
That's the end of the episode.
That's the end of the episode.
Oh well.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll give you all our thoughts.
Yes, our thoughts
about the episode. That's something else we have to discuss.
Thoughts. I don't think that we have to discuss anything.
Thoughts
it's thoughts
and what I got out of the show.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
We'll be back, guys.
All right. Thanks. Okay, guys, we're back. Thank you for staying with us. Summer, what did you get out of this episode?
A couple of things that I got out of this was, a lot of companies appreciate loyalty out of their employees. But loyalty, respect, all these types of things, they flow both ways. In this case, George had an opportunity to promote someone in his company who he knew was his best employee. But because of his biases, he just wouldn't do it until it was too late. But I'm pretty sure he expected Emily to be loyal to his company, but it's a two-way street when it comes to loyalty. And really, when you're working, there really is no loyalty. There is no loyalty. And I never think of the place where I work, my 9 to 5. I have a sense of pride and fulfillment about the work that I do. And it's a relationship where there's an exchange. I do the hard work, I get paid. In terms of interactions with people, I generally expect people to get along with me. So I don't expect for there to be drama or interpersonal issues. So I don't have any interpersonal issues with people. So I get along with folks. I respect them. I expect for them to respect me. When I say respect, I mean just have common courtesy towards me. I mean, not necessarily respect in terms of looking up to me or something like that. I don't know. But I expect certain things, but I don't expect too much. If my job tomorrow says, okay, we're cutting staff and you got to go. Your position is eliminated. I'd be upset just because it's unexpected, but I wouldn't be that mad. It's just business. Ultimately, it comes down to business and doing what's best for the business, not what's best for me. So I'm okay with that. But the thing is that even with that 2 weeks notice thing, all these courtesies that we give companies, like 2 weeks notice, I don't know why we have to give them 2 weeks. Like, they don't give people 2 weeks notice when they fire them.
Right.
It's just like, we're letting you go.
They can't do that.
Well, why am I required, or why is it expected as a courtesy for me to give 2 weeks notice? I'm not saying don't give 2 weeks notice. I'm just saying, why am I expected to do more than the company does for me?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where incentives come in, I guess. You know.
What do you mean?
Like the company you work for, they have a lot of outside activities for the employees. That what they don't.
Oh, I mean, okay, I'm trying to see that as an incentive.
I mean, that helps the morale, I guess, of an employee. I mean, it's a good work environment, I guess. I mean,
yeah, that's
the company
fine.
I work for, they don't do anything for you outside of paying me. That's the number one thing. You pay me. But if you do other things on the side, you know, a lunch truck, picnic, family picnic, I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You'll feel more inclined to put a little bit more effort into certain things. I guess that's how I feel.
Okay. Yeah, I'm more of a money talks and everything else is
Yeah, everything else is
gravy.
It's gravy, right? So
like, okay, I'll take your free lunch on this day. I'll take your picnic and your movie night or whatever they'll do.
I mean, they do a lot of
it's a nice to have for sure. But at the end of the day, if they want to start eliminating people's jobs tomorrow, and in order to save the company, that's what they'll do.
Oh, definitely. But like you said, they cannot give you a two-week notice that they're going to fire anybody, because people would probably go crazy within those 2 weeks. Start stealing things from the company.
Yeah.
Telling people off.
I'm not suggesting that they even should. I definitely agree that it doesn't make any sense to give you a heads up when you're being terminated. But why do I have to give? Why is it expected that I give you all this notice too?
And that's all it is.
Why?
It's just expected. I mean,
why?
if you came in on Friday and said, "Hey, you know, today's my last day," I quit basically. But see, I guess it's the same thing. I was going to say quitting and resigning. Are they both the same?
Yeah, they're exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what did I get out of? Are you
no. Okay. But that was just the one thing that I thought about in terms of, mainly it's the loyalty thing, you know, in that there's only so much loyalty the company's going to have towards you, and only so much loyalty they should really be expecting from their employees. And the other thing that came to mind was, now this is in 1975. There were a lot of biases towards women in the workplace. The idea that women aren't fit for tough jobs was probably, prevalent, or more prevalent than it is today. But even today, in corporate America, you still have outside consultants and courses that teach employees, managers, and executives about unconscious biases. And unconscious biases are, it's 2020 now, and we would like to think that we have come so far that we don't have all the same biases towards people of different ethnicities, towards women, biases towards men even, and biases towards older people in the workplace, right? So you have ageism, sexism, racism, all of those things playing out when a lot of people don't even think they still exist. Having thoughts that, if a woman has a child, that she's not, or a child or children, that she might not be as available as a man, even if the man has children. They unconsciously people assume that he still doesn't have the same parental burdens as women do. So it just calls out to me the fact that biases still exist, even though we have come very far. But it's still, I don't want to say they're prevalent, but they still exist. And they still, I think it's a little bit more, not dangerous, but it's a little more frustrating when racism and sexism are not as openly shown. It's not that I want to for there to be racism and sexism like just obvious in the workplace, but when it's not obvious, it just becomes frustrating when people unconsciously have biases, because you never know where people are coming from. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, but I almost feel like I prefer blatant racism and sexism, so it's obvious. So I can be like, hey, point my finger at it.
And once you point your finger, then what?
Once I point my finger at it, well, then at that point, I have to see what someone says about it, or take what I know, and if it is blatant to me, take that up the chain of command, HR or whomever. But I think people realize and know that racism and sexism, fortunately, are not popular, so they're not really out in the open about it.
No, not at all. Well, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, go for it.
You brought something up that I didn't think about, how George said that Emily was his best, or one of his best employees. Mm-hmm. And if you know you have someone that is a good employee, gets the job done, and you lose someone in a higher position that good employee's in, why don't you just give that good employee a chance at the position that is now open, instead of hiring someone that you have to learn their attitudes and their work habits and things like that? I think I would just rather hire internally, especially if I feel that they really can get the job done. And she said she knew everything that Lester did. She knew how to do it, So I feel that if you are in that position where you need to fill a position and you have employees there and you know that they know the business, why not give them a chance? And then you can hire outside as far as an entry level person.
And a lot of times the entry level jobs or the lower level jobs are the jobs that get things done. And it's not that managers don't have a job to do or important tasks to do, but managerial tasks are different than kind of the menial day-to-day tasks. And sometimes too, I feel like people kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit by almost being too good at their jobs, to where, I always thought about this too in like the education, where you might have, you have your administrative staff, principals, and you have teachers. Now all principals at some point were teachers, but every teacher doesn't necessarily make a good principal, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like sometimes you have good teachers who are really, really good, and it's almost like you're scared to promote them because it's so hard to fill their spot as the teacher.
Oh, it's harder to fill a principal spot than it is a teacher spot.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, I think so. I think it's easier to find teachers than it is to find a principal.
Good teacher
Well, nowadays,
who's the same caliber as your all-star teacher.
Oh, no.
That's what I'm talking about.
No.
And you can exploit someone that you're paying less and kind of have them doing various other things that maybe other teachers aren't doing, just because their work ethic is so strong, and they want to do a great job, and they want to not just do a great job, but they want to contribute to the school or the,
So with that said, I feel like, since we're talking about teachers, new teachers, freshly out of college, graduates, they're excited to teach and excited to be teachers. But sometimes I feel after a couple of years, they lose that drive.
Yeah.
Because the students make it hard for them. And the funding for schools, they don't have all the equipment that they need. But so they somewhat lose that drive. And now it's just like, okay, all I'm going to do is hand out assignments, and that's it. Like, I'm not going to be creative with my teaching skills like I was when I first started.
Yeah. And let me say something too for that. What happens sometimes, and I have heard this not just in education, but in just in a corporate environment. What will happen sometimes is that your least qualified people at a lower level could unfortunately get promoted just because they suck at that lower level job and they need to get out, and you got to put them somewhere. It's like, what else do you do? Okay, do you have an administrative credential? That's like for education. Okay, well, let's put you in this position. Let's take you out of the classroom where you suck. But we're not necessarily going to advance our best teachers. And in the corporate world, I've heard of this happening too.
No, I agree.
It's just like, okay, we'll move people around. We'll move them around instead of firing people. Because it's really, that's the thing that education, I'm sure it works the same way across the country, that they are union type jobs, right? And I don't work in a union situation myself. So, but even not working in a union situation, a union type job, it still takes a whole lot to get fired. And people will play that game of shuffling a person around as much as they possibly can. And really, I think the problem a lot of times, though, is the leadership. Yeah, you can have customers that are bothersome. You can have students and parents that are bothersome. Part of it is how you can manage those people. And it also, another part of that is how your leadership responds to it. And in a lot of cases, leadership doesn't respond to it. And that's where you start to get pissed off because you feel like you're alone having to deal with all these problems.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important part I got out of this episode was women can do just as good a job as men can do, and any race can do just as good as a job as any other race can do. I think people now, well, not now, people more so play the sexist role, I think, more so than the racist role. They think that a lady cannot do as good a job as a man can. And they definitely can. There are certain jobs that I think that would be harder for a woman to do, but I know she can do it. They would have to always put their best foot forward and put a lot more effort into certain jobs.
What kind of jobs are we talking about? Are we talking about like a physical type of job?
Yeah, more so. But okay, yes, more so physical jobs, but also sometimes when you think of leadership, you think of a deeper voice, to commanding voice to get the job done. Right? Someone, they can pump their chest out, look more manly. Like, I know, for instance, okay, my manager is not a lady, it is a male, but like if a lady was to tell me to do something, I'm like, okay, I'll go do it or whatever. But if you hear like a man tell you to do it, like, all right, let me go hop on this and take care of it really quick.
Really? That's interesting, Shannon.
That's okay. I don't think that's really sexist. Really, it's just
you don't.
No, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I growing up with my mother and father, it just seemed like whenever my father told me to do something, it was like, oh, he mean business. And my mother tell me something, it's just that motherly voice, I guess. It's just something about that. Maybe if I grew up with a single mother, I probably would feel differently. I don't know. But because my father was the man of the house and he played that role well, when he only had to tell me to do something once. And my mother, she probably would have to tell me to do it 2 to 3 times just because it's my mother. Like, that's my mother. Like, it's the motherly soft tone of not sounding like it's urgent. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not urgent. It's just, it's a soothing, Shannon, can you take the trash out, please? Whereas my dad, like, boy, go take the trash out. I'm like, okay. It's just, that's what I'm getting at. Not saying I could not have a female manager manage me and I do, well, I'm going to do what she asks because that's my job. Right. But it's just, it's, you know, like, is she serious? Kind of, I don't know. The best way I can explain it is, don't shake your head like that. That's the best way I can explain
this
it.
Is the video podcast. Okay, so you're seeing my shaking my head.
Like I said, this is the best way I can explain it. Just the manly role that I grew up with my dad and then my mother. That's all it is. I'm not saying I'm going to not do what the superior person would say if she was a lady. I'm going to do it without a doubt. But we need to get over and beyond that because I see women do jobs that men can't do.
Like?
I'm not going to pinpoint one thing, but I'm going to say even physical things, women might find an easier way to do the same physical job than a guy like, I never thought about doing it that way. You know, but because she's not 100% capable of doing it the way we do it, she found an easier way to do it. And we've been working hard all this time to do it this way. So,
okay.
Yeah. And another thing I'm not an owner of any type of business or anything, but like George said, Emily was one of his best employees. It's something he should acknowledge, let her know. He didn't have to wait for Lester to quit to say, okay, you know, on the days that Lester's off, I want to make you acting manager or whatever. Or how about, since I have so many stores, I need to have some of my managers off on certain days. Why don't you rotate through these stores as acting manager?
So pay her less to work hard.
I didn't say pay her.
Traveling around to all these stores?
I did not say pay her less. You said that. I did not say that.
I'm putting words in your mouth.
No, I said acknowledge her good work.
Okay.
By putting her in this position. I did not say anything about money.
Okay.
But, of course, I'm sure the type of lady Emily was, she would have said, okay, Mr. Jefferson, if you want me to play active manager and travel to these different stores, how much more are you going to pay me to do that?
Right.
Money talks.
It most certainly does.
Yeah. So look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take one last break, and when we come back, I want to discuss one other thing that we're going to do as far as our new format, and then we'll wrap this episode up.
Okay.
So stay tuned. Alrighty, we're back. So what I wanted to discuss was our new format that we're going to try out. Due to the fact that we're going to do one episode per week, which entails 3 episodes of the Jeffersons and 1 episode of a undisclosed sitcom, that's going to be about a 1.5 to 2 hour episode for us. Maybe. So what we have we decided to do this or not, Summer? As far as the Jeffersons, we're going to just read the synopsis that's given for the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have to. We can't talk for 15, 20 minutes about each episode.
Right. So we're going to do it that way, and then we will include like 1 or 2 bullet points that we got out of it, instead of telling you what the whole episode is about. So that way to move things along.
Instead of telling you a play-by-play, a scene-by-scene, what happened as far as what we remember.
Yeah.
So just so that we could keep that part concise, get to our points, which also means that for you, it's an extra commitment that you go out and watch these episodes so that you know what we're talking about when we share what we got out of the episode.
And I know it's hard to let go of reality TV to watch.
No, it isn't.
Some real good comedy shows from back in the day. And don't let go of YouTube, because I want you to purchase on YouTube. Yes. But as far as our podcast, that's something you can listen to on a walk, working out, driving to work or whatever. So don't let go of that at all. So that's what we have decided to do as far as the new format of the show. Right now, Summer's going to give us a little bit of details on social media.
Okay. Social media. Check us out on Instagram at Black Sitcom History, and we're also on Facebook at Black Sitcom History. Check out the website anchor.fm/Black Sitcom History, and you'll have links to everything there. This YouTube channel, everywhere you can listen to the podcast, and our Facebook and Instagram pages.
The reason I shook my head wildly was because you said website.
The website.
Yeah, so are we going to have a Black Sitcom History website?
We will.
Okay.
We're working on it still. Oh, I'm working on it still.
So, but
that's one of the reasons too why I want to cut this back to once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because the plan is to put all the podcasts up on the website, all the episodes. So 3 a week is a lot more than 1 per week. It just cuts the time for editing by 3.
Okay. Well, that's a wrap for me.
Is that a wrap?
For me.
Okay. Well, Shannon, I'm glad that you learned that women can do.
I didn't learn. I already knew.
You said that's what you got out of it.
Well, that's what I still got. That's what I still got out of the show. I already knew that women could do just as good as job as men can do.
And to that point, though, I want to say the point about women saying things and it sounding like it doesn't have the same kind of immediacy. Their requests don't sound as immediate as a man's request. Mm-hmm. And, you talking about how you grew up with your parents and how you dealt with your mom telling you to do things versus your dad telling you one time and that was it. So, we're still dealing with those types of things. But the thing to keep in mind though is that you're not at home. And if I'm your supervisor and I ask you to do a thing, that's what I meant.
I do understand that I'm not at home. So
I'm talking to the people.
Okay, well,
not
people,
just you.
I understand that my workplace, and I made that clear. If I have a woman supervisor, she asks me to do something, I'm going to do it because I know that's my job. I said that earlier. But the point was it's just one of those things that has been instilled in me throughout life.
And that's my whole point. Yeah.
If you drink Kool-Aid, you got one red. Everybody know what one red, what the red color is. They know what flavor it is.
It's red.
It's red flavor. We just know that.
No, that's why I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people and saying that, that's one thing to keep in mind. And another thing that I want to express to women, and I've heard this a couple of times, more so from women that I'm closer to, just their concern regarding emasculating men when they got to tell the men that they're not doing what they need to do. And usually it's like an older person, an older woman that would say something like that. But in younger women, I've noticed that this kind of low expectations of men and a kind of babying and coddling of men. And I've even been told before, like, oh, well, dealing with this person, you got to deal with him this way. I'm like, that's how you deal with them. That's not how I'm dealing with them. I deal with them when I expect something. That's what I expect. If we have agreed to the terms of what we're going to do here, everybody's on the same page. Everybody on the team, I expect for them to deliver what they said they were going to deliver and when they said they were going to deliver it. And if they had an issue with doing so, I expect them to say so before I have to ask them. So, this is for the women who are supervising and managing diverse groups of people. We're talking men and women. So, if you have men, many men, some men that you're managing, really consider look at yourself and see if you're dealing and handling those men differently than you are women. And just be conscious of that. I have experienced too some men just almost thinking that their behavior is such that certain things are beneath them. And everybody on the same level, I expect to do the same things. So just be considerate of how you're handling men versus women. That's it.
Are you sure?
Am I sure about what?
That is it.
I don't know. Let me think about it.
Yeah.
No, it's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, Somerset, that's it. So that's all.
That's all.
And stay tuned for Wednesday's episode. Thank you for staying and sticking around with us.
See you all on Wednesday.
Peace.
Bye.